Tammy with us. We got Chris joining us again, and we got a couple of people in the background talking about a serious topic today. This topic was actually suggested by Bo a couple of weeks ago, and it's something that I know is very important to him. He can't be with us this evening, but I want to do justice to this topic. We also had a mental health person who was supposed to be here with us, but she couldn't join, so that also kind of set us back. But we're gonna handle it because we have people here who work with youth. We have people who are parents, and we have another single dad on the call. So Mike Jackson is all the way in Phoenix.
What up, Mike?
What's going on, y'all?
You look like you walking through the projects in the hood and just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he been walking for a minute.
Hey, it's a good thing. Honestly, I just, like I said, I went, well, I didn't share that earlier, but I thought I had maybe a health issue or something. I went to the doctor and everything fine. So I don't know. I'm just maybe a little geeked off the fact that it wasn't nothing like that. I thought I was having heart issues, but I just had a full checkout. I'm fine.
Oh, I was going to say STDs.
Oh my God!
I'm joking with you, Mike. Hey, it's the G-Spot. We got to play with you a little bit.
We happy you good, brother.
Always.
Yeah, you know.
Always.
Yeah, these days, you know, you see so many people having issues with their hearts and other problems and stuff. We as Black people need to get to the hospital a little more anyway.
Yep.
Everybody see them bills and be like, I ain't going to the doctor.
Exactly. Facts. Yeah. Oh shit, y'all. Hold on. All right. So Bo actually put this little thing together for us this evening. I'm gonna try to follow some of his direction with this. He and I and Azizi actually today we're gonna talk a little bit about it. That's what we're Mike.
Yeah.
Your people in the background, we might need you to get to a quiet space or either you to mute until you talking. Okay, love?
Gotcha.
Tammy said I can mute you. See how Tammy do?
Mute Mike.
All right, so kicked out at 18, unready and expelled for growing up. So this is a huge thing. And we actually posted this. Let me see if I actually have this pulled up right quick for y'all. If I do, I'm gonna show y'all. Posted it on the G-Spot today. I was really surprised by all the comments that came through, which is really nice. So you see here, that's the question. How old were you when you moved out your parents' home? Were you ready or was it forced? And people got real candid. You see some of these comments, got my own place when I was 16, 18, but I should have stayed. I was 21, my first son. Somebody mentioned that they were forced out and had to end up in a relationship that they didn't even want to be in because they had no other choice. So mixed messages on both ends. We had people who chose to, people who moved out before 18, people who were ready, and people who just felt like they weren't. So very, very interesting conversation with the G-Spot folks. All right, so let's get back to this little stuff, this creation from Bo. I'm spitting and everything. I'm sorry.
I can't see it.
So why do we condemn our youth to homelessness? And before we start talking about this, y'all, I just want to kind of give y'all a basic definition of what I found homeless as the definition of homelessness. It is from Wikipedia, and it says living in housing. Because when we think about homelessness, we always think about not having a home, the absence of a home. But it actually says living in housing that is below the minimum standard or lacks secure tenure. So lacks secure foundation, secure safety, etc. So with this question, it's very vague, but what do you think about this? What do y'all think?
Well, homelessness also part of that definition too, the legal part of it. It has your address, your physical address has to be attached to your name. You know? So, but when you're when you're a minor, of course, that goes to your parent. And we have homelessness, and we think about people living under bridges and things of that nature, in the city, but that's not necessarily what it is either. The majority of the homeless people in any of our, American cities are people who don't have an address attached to their names. So they can be living with somebody else, or they can be living from place to place, but until that address is attached to their name, they're categorized as homeless as well. You know, and being an educator, you know, I've taught for almost 20 years before I retired in 2018. And one of the biggest reasons why school districts like MPS has such a high truancy or absence, was because of homelessness. You know, and something like 30,000 students every year were considered homeless, and you know, and that correlates to them actually showing up to school as well. So getting the fullness of what that definition means, of course, what Javon said, you know, and it talks about what a structural home physically looks like, but also what legally makes you, you know, fit you in that category as well, you know. And in my opinion, it's a particular culture that's established in people who experience homelessness, especially on a long-term basis. So
yeah. You got any thoughts about homelessness, Tammy?
No, I agree. I agree with the definition as well as the homelessness in MPS.
Well, Tammy, have you ever been homeless?
Yes, I have.
All right, what does that mean?
What was your homeless like?
Was you sleeping on the street?
No, I never slept on the street. That's a blessing because you have that family support, so I didn't never have to go back in. So, yeah.
Right. So do that mean we should redefine what it means, what that actually means? You know, because we do come from a particular culture that has strong familial ties, you know, and they stay together for long periods of time, you know.
But I think this was part of what Bo wanted to talk about and he didn't add this piece in there, but hopefully you brought it up, the cultural element. Different cultures allow their children to stay at home a little longer. Bo was of the mindset, and Bo, correct me, email me, whatever, if I'm wrong, that particularly Black families don't necessarily do that. And we set our kids up for failure by not allowing them to be here longer.
That's correct.
So this is what he kind of came up with. Some of the things that kids are kind of forced out into the world unprepared and lacking support systems. And that tends to lead to other things later on down the line. So this is what he said: how can we expect our new adults to thrive where mature adults struggle? So he has these two images, and the one on the left is just talking about how, you know, this is a parent's, how we envision our kids. Like, okay, they're 18, off, bye, see you later. Like, that's the expectation. When the reality is, you got a whole damn adult who might be 35 who can't even figure their shit out, right? So how do we expect an 18-year-old to get it if you have 35-year-olds who don't, they're still struggling? Yeah.
I mean, my only question to that, because I agree with it, but I agree with it at a certain, you know, at a particular point in time, you know, in the Black community. Because right now, I mean, it seems like people are staying in the homes for extended periods of time. You know, you wouldn't have people talking about 35-year-olds still living at home with their mama, or, you know, 25-year-olds still staying, you know, male or female. So I question whether that's the trend with Black people. Do we force our children out, or do we hold them on too much and not provide them with the means or a wherewithal or knowledge of how to get their own?
That's an excellent question. Tammy, how old are you?
I think that's...
1 second, Mike, because I want you to chime in too.
Well,
my apologies.
Go back to the 35-year-old. I know 40-year-olds. Let's be real about this.
Don't kill them, girl.
From, you know, my own family that were, I call them handicaps. You know, they have 7 ATs. Give me $10. If you get $10 from every 7 AT, you don't need no job. So, you know, it took them till they 40, 50 years old to get it together. Like, hey, you're grown and you need to do this by yourself. So, you know, you have that mindset too, where parents do handicap their kids. You know, they just want to give them everything and not make them earn anything. So that's one. That's the 35-year-old staying at home in the basement with their mama, daddy, grandmama is usually the grandparents.
Tammy knows it, honey. How old are your kids? And are any of them at home?
I have a 24-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 21-year-old. No, they're not at home. My oldest son, I put out my oldest son at an early age. I really sent him to his daddy. He had some daddy issues. So he stayed with his dad, and then now he's out on his own. He worked, he do well. My other two, I sent to the service. So, you know, the government is raising them, taking care of them, you know, whatnot, but they are doing what they need to do. They don't live with me.
Right.
So that's my background on that.
Okay. Mike, what about you?
Well, I just feel like it just depends on the upbringing of the parent, because you know we all instill what we think we know from what we've been raised and taught. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Different people, depending on
Your
how
camera is
serious
off,
they
by
are
the way,
about.
Mike. Your camera's off.
I'm
honey.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you all good.
Yeah, different people under different circumstances, you know, certain people have faced adversity and turned those things over. They don't want their child to go through that. So they serious in the essential upbringing so that the child can understand the desperate need to self-sustain, you know what I mean?
Keep it out on their own.
And some people, yeah, and some people actually, you know, they instill so much that when they put them out there, they not worried because they feel like the principles they instill can help the child survive. But in some cases, some kids get diverted. Some parents don't hold those type of values because they've been solely in survival mode since they came up. You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of that really depends on the upbringing of the parent, because we get all our know-how. If your parent is in a household, you get all your know-how from them. You know what I mean? And what you learn as you grow. But at the same time, essentially, all of us harbor a strong amount of morals and other principles from our parents. So I really think it starts from there, you know what I mean? Some parents pamper their kids like Tammy was saying, you know what I mean? And then you got other folks that's just like, hey, you see how hard I'm working? At 18, you have to get out here and get it yourself, you know what I mean?
Right.
And then you have those parents that don't know no better either. So
Exactly.
they struggling already in their life, so they don't have time to teach their kids the right path because they living in their own life. They dealing with their own demons.
You know, at a certain age in my parents' house, my mama especially, because she was the one who actually did this, and that's cooked. It got to, when we got to a certain age, it was like every man for himself. And she would say that, you know what I'm saying? Every man for himself. That means you find your own way to eat. And they would do things like, you know, they wouldn't even stock the refrigerator or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So it forces you, it don't force you out, but it gives you the
start.
Exactly. Exactly. Gives you that motivation.
You know, it's real from this point on.
Out the nest, you know. It's time to get it on your own.
I got a cousin.
Figure out how you're going to eat. While you out spending money and all this kind of stuff, you need to figure out how you're going to eat. You know? Man,
my uncle locked the refrigerator on his kids. I mean, literally put a chain and padlock on it and said, man, y'all got jobs. Y'all know what to do.
You know, my daddy did that with the heat. Mm-hmm. We couldn't turn the heat up in the house, honey. Yeah, man. No bills.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know, it's some folks like that tell you, period, don't touch my heat. You ain't paying nothing. You my kid, I'm letting you stay here. So you getting the amenities, you just ain't gonna get it the way you like it. This what I want, this what I have. Yeah. I know parents like that.
Yes. And then you have parents like my mother that made me pay rent.
Mine too.
So I had to pay rent. Oh yeah. Then taxing you on top of it. It's like, you taxing me. How can I even get my own and save up to do anything when you take in half my money? It don't even make good sense. But
now I'm against the rent thing because I do believe that you should allow kids to save up. I see other cultures do it all the time. But now if I got rules in my house and you want to just be grown, okay, you gonna fork one of these bills over. You know, it only makes sense. It's only fair. We're both adults at that point. Azizi, again, works in mental health. She couldn't be here. Shout out to Zizi. But she showed this model that we have up right here, the cycle of abandonment. And one of the things when it comes to being kicked out at 18 earlier, is that you develop these sort of feelings. You develop this cycle that continues on. It's an ongoing social process. It continues on throughout your life. It's similar to a cycle I used to do when I worked with people in foster care. It's called the trust cycle. And it's very similar. It starts in infancy. But it talks about the fear of intimacy, abandoning relationships, shame and fear of intimacy, early abandonment, and shame and insecurity. So we're actually going to dive a little deeper into this. Zizi was going to talk a little bit more about it. I'm no expert, but I did find some things that kind of showcase a little bit more about what this abandonment piece is. So this right here is what I found at ifoster.com. And I thought, wow, this shit is deep, right? These are some of the signs that they say that you experience when you have experienced abandonment. Now, I want to tell you, abandonment is simply interruptions in normal development. Something happens and your normal development has been interrupted. You could have had a parent that was taken away to prison. You could have had a cousin who was shot and murdered in the street. You could have had a mom who is in and out of your life because she, you know, is sex trafficked, sex worker, whatever it is. There is an inconsistency in a relationship that you have with somebody that you depend on. And that's my own definition right there. Mm-hmm. But so I found this interesting.
How does that relate to, how does abandonment relate to homelessness?
Mm. So being kicked out at 18, in a sense, is being abandoned, okay, if you will. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things is, I think, I don't even have the stats on that. But as it relates to foster care, I will tell you this. In foster care, kids are there up until about 18, maybe 21. It really depends if they're in transitional or if they're in like just a regular home. Mm-hmm. At 18, they give you your shit. Here's your bag. You're 18, go. Whether they figured it out or not. And I think, 1 out of 2 foster kids will develop a substance dependence. 1 out of 2, that's 50%. Mm-hmm. That's pretty messed up. Mm-hmm. So I highlighted a few of these that I thought were interesting. Engage in unwanted sex. This is common for women. So women who have abandonment issues may engage in sexual activities that she doesn't want more often.
Probably to get something though.
Because of the fear of not pleasing the person and them leaving her or not wanting her or whatever that could be.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, so let's go on to this next one, y'all. So this was another thing I found to kind of cater to that slide that originally we had up. Which wounds do you own is the question I asked. Because as I looked at this, I was like, well, damn, I'm messed up, honey. I'm on neglect wound, okay? I will self-identify. But I want to know, like, as you look at this, y'all, even the people that's watching, y'all chime in on the chat. What do y'all, like, what's your wound? Because we're all, let's just be honest, ain't nobody perfect. I was just having this conversation with my daughter today. So this is perfect timing. She happens to be 18, by the way. But what are your wounds? You got abandonment wound.
Probably all of them.
Guilt wound, trust wound, neglect wound. And while y'all are reading them, I'm going to tell y'all a couple of comments we got.
Probably all of them.
All right, so Baba Cuckoo says, as soon as a girl smell her ass or when a boy gets aggressive, he gone. Tell the truth. Yeah, I was gone at 18. You couldn't, I couldn't wait to get out. I couldn't wait to get out.
Whatever. Nothing bad about what I did over there. Nothing bad about what I did at the
I think I'm neglect wound.
Mike, what's your wound?
He's saying, but you can't hardly hear him.
Oh, we can't hear you, Mike. Are you talking?
Yeah, I'm here talking. I feel mine would be the abandonment wound, somewhat of the guilt as well.
You feel like
I can resonate with both sections to some degree. I've had hardships I won't go into, but yeah, I feel that.
I think I relate to every single one of them because I think that they're interchangeable. I think that they all go together. I think that certain ones fast track into other ones. You know,
I can agree with that.
This whole thing about abandonment and just really feeling alone and being separate from a source of, you know, of any kind of energy and sustainability. You know, I think that it triggers all of these, at least the thought of it, you know.
Exactly.
And I think that when we make certain decisions because of, you know, these overlying things, even one of them, I think that we end up expressing all of them in some kind of way.
Yeah, because I look at neglect and I'm like, nah, but trust, and I'm on the bottom half. But I agree with you, Chris. I do. All right, so Deja is in Texas. She says she has abandonment wound.
You want to say why? She in Texas. Okay.
Feels left out. Fears being left.
We need a phone line where they can call in.
I know. And you know what? I'm gonna get the number. Yeah, y'all. I think a lot of my wounds stem from daddy issues. I got some daddy issues, and I think that's where mine's come from.
Yeah, I agree. Me too. I think our era, that's really what it was.
Yeah.
For whatever
Like
reason.
kids, we never.
I think mine.
TV raised us. Yeah. TV raised us.
I kind of feel like mine was more or less based on the dad and the fact of not having.
You say that again?
I said I think one part was based on my dad coming in when I was damn near grown, and when we was coming up, my mama raised us to a certain degree, so the structural issue from both parents, you know, the proper influence equally. I don't think I ever, you know, my brother practically played, my oldest brother played like a father role in my life, so it wasn't like, you know, and that's cool, you know what I mean, but now me and my dad getting on a better step for each other, you know, but ultimately, it's been some time. I struggle with a lot of the stuff associated with the way that we came up. Assuming we grew up on the block where both parents was in the house, and we were the only ones without it. So, I mean, it is what it is, you know. But I kind of long for that type of union in my house as a kid, low key.
You know, so OG Duddles in the comments has kids. Shout out OG Duddles. My dad was very active in my life up until a certain point. And then he kind of fell out like around age 12, 13, because he was working on his own personal relationships, which, you know, I, as a child, wasn't aware of. I just wanted my dad. And then when I got 17 and got pregnant, I had my daughter at 18, and he was pissed, and he came to see her. But then after that, he just like wasn't fucking with me. He was like, oh yeah, you know, I'm done. Like you kind of basically disown me. That fucked with me for a long time, because I would never do that to my children. You know, people make mistakes. Later on, I understood he's an African man, different expectations, honey. Different cultural thing, as you mentioned, Chris.
Yeah.
But
place of the patriarchal system over there places so much ownership over the women.
Yeah.
You know.
And he had high expectations, education. I want my daughter to have this, do this, and that. But I had became a statistic, if you will. So that was hard. So Dad, if you watching, that fucked me up a little bit. Real talk.
Uh-oh.
All right, so we are gonna talk a little bit about how this shit affects relationships as well. Where do we go from here, y'all?
Yeah, I mean, because homelessness really, it is that abandonment. It is that when you look at it, you know, you kind of can redefine it, because it can have so much metaphorical meaning to it. You know, you can apply the ideal of homelessness to relationships. You know, lacking something secure that gives you peace and that gives you stability. You know, so all this stuff wraps into it. And I think that us talking about abandonment, I think it gets to the root cause of homelessness. Mm-hmm. You know, it's culture spreading from one generation to the next because of that sense of abandonment.
One of the highest groups that experience homelessness are LGBT youth and adults.
I can believe that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's about 80%.
They do.
Last time I checked.
They do.
Huge homeless population.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Yep. You can find, and they end up in California. Huge number of them.
Facts.
Huge number of them.
So now Atlanta, like they say.
California.
No, the ones that got houses go to Atlanta, honey. The houses go to Atlanta.
But you know, it's all places between where they are, you know, where they originate from into California, you know.
Seattle.
All of that. They have huge, all those cities, they have huge
Did my other call come in?
issues. And it's mainly the LGBTQ community.
Okay, so all of y'all are parents. Y'all all have children that are of a certain age, old enough. Chris, yours may be a little younger.
Yeah, mine's
Mike, you got a
10.
younger baby too.
Mine better be at home. She's 10.
Would you put your kid out at 18?
Never.
Yes, I have.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I have boys.
Tell us why, Tammy.
Because I have boys. I didn't have any girls. I think that you can cater to more a girl. You know, they bring home the baby and the boy problems and so on. But boys, I think they can fend for themselves. You can really put them out there. Especially they have a hustle. They can work certain jobs women can't. They more athletic than women are. You know, they can fend for themselves. Yeah.
I just got finished watching the football game.
Yeah, I can't baby no boy. I'm sorry, I can't do it.
I think that if you take on that idea of, you know, your children leaving the nest at a certain age, you know, let's say 18, that's the trend that people say, you know, that they force their kids out or whatever. I think, me personally, I think that's more of our parents' generation, you know, versus ours. I don't see it too much. I don't see that big of a trend of kids being forced out the house. Matter of fact, I see the reverse. But however, if you do take on that idea,
Opinions.
You have
we
to,
do. Just hear me out. Hear me out first. If you take on that idea of forcing, you know, your child out at 18, you know, leaving the nest at an early age, I think that you have a great responsibility of preparing them for that step.
Exactly, and that's exactly what you have to do. You have to give them choices. Let them know what they can and can't do. You have to be their backbone. If you want that goal, that's you're gonna have to prepare them for that.
I'm saying more than that. I'm saying preparing them financially, you know, with education on how to handle their finances. I'm saying on helping them get into their first, you know, apartment or home. You know, it's however you know, it's whatever you see your child in. But I think that we need to take that. You know, you pushing somebody out who's spent their whole life depending on you, and you're kicking them out in a year's time. Well, they got 18 years time of being attached to you. You know, you can't.
At what point during that 18 years are you preparing them?
Right.
See, I think the entire way there.
That's
Yeah.
the point.
Exactly.
I think from birth all the way there, you're teaching them what it
15,
means.
16 years old, they can get jobs. They can get jobs. You can put them on the bus. Look, don't be taking them to work.
Yeah.
Make them pay that way to get to work. That's their money.
But does it happen?
No,
Well,
because these
sounds
new
good, but
age
do it happen?
kids are spoiled rotten, honey.
Yeah.
They think you're supposed to pick
them
them up,
up, drop them off.
They get mad because you want them to pay their own cell phone
Don't know
bill
how to get around
once
the
they get a
city.
job.
Can't get around the city.
It's rough.
Go ahead, Mike.
Handicap. They're gonna handicap.
Honestly, I feel like, well, it depends. I've been exposed, like me, I've exposed kids there and here, and I gotta honestly say, no disrespect, these kids down here on their shit. I mean, like literally, I see a lot of them in school, like damn near bachelor degrees and masters. I'm working with dudes who damn near on farm teams for MLB squads, all kind of stuff down here.
Hey, Mike, and guess who's the leading, or guess who's the biggest demographic of people entering into post-secondary education, into college? Guess who the largest population of people doing that is?
I think African Americans.
Black women.
Yeah, I see that a lot, especially down there in the medical system when I was working for
Black women at the top.
Aurora and Freighter. I mean, it's so many different positions and nurse practitioners of color. It's astounding down here. I like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At first, when I first came,
Like.
I mean, no, from a
and a lot of those college students still stay at home too.
Yeah, but also from a sense of empowerment, though, it make you feel like, you know, because long before, like when I was a kid coming up, I only seen white doctors, and as I became a teenager, it became a variation of white doctors and Middle Eastern doctors.
Yeah.
And then after a while, then I started, you know, like I was working at Aurora. I mean, it's so diverse there from the doctor's aspect. I mean, I see all types of different nationalities there.
Right.
Freighter shares somewhat of the same now, I'm assuming. And especially with the pandemic, they've been reaching out for so many different resources, physicians, and different types of specialties that cover this COVID thing. Hey, long as you got the credentials and you know what you're doing.
Shameless plug. Shout out to Eric Conley. That's a cousin of mine who's the president and CEO of Freighter.
Shout out Eric.
That's what's up.
Look it up. A
Freighter's
black
in the
man.
house.
A black man is running Freighter.
I seen that before I left. I peeped that. That's what's up. He just took over for the one lady. I forgot her name.
I worked with him. I did some work with him. Yeah.
For our national friends, Freighter is a hospital in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
Went back to the gay comment and the youth. 80%, I think, was the percentage a few years ago of LGBT youth that are homeless. We had a couple comments here. I had a gay dude I was cool with in high school, and he came from a church family, and his mama fought him and kicked him out when he came out as gay.
Oh,
well,
wow.
that's
and he
those
was
Christian
only
views.
16.
Those Christian views. There you go. The Bible controlling people.
It don't got to be Christian either. If it's your culture that you want to have grandbabies, that don't got nothing to do with religion. And if you have a child who turns out to be gay, I ain't saying me, but I'm saying the mentality of people. You can't just put that on religion. That be people. You know what I'm saying? They may use religion to justify their feeling.
Exactly.
That feeling don't start with religion. That starts with their culture and what they expect out of their child. Which
a lot of
you really
people
can't do because that's a whole nother person.
Yeah, but people use religion as a means of cultivation. They
to justify.
put it in every aspect. No, not only justification.
Okay.
I mean, like when you talk about upbringing, some folks who was brought in the church carry a different belief than the just average good black person who feel like they already got God in them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly.
A lot, and you know that comes from old school branding. A lot of folks, you know what I mean, like my mom and them, they believe so hard. You can't say nothing against Christianity to them. It don't resonate. You know what I mean? But when you spent 30, 40, 50 years believing this, and this is part of the base for your institutional for belief, you know what I mean, or your upbringing, all this is based on your foundation of principle, then everything that you do is guided by that. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't so much that you're using it as a means of justification. You've been instilled with this for your entire livelihood. It's like, damn, you know, all I know is this. You know what I mean? You take this away and it eliminates what you stand for to a certain degree. You know what I mean?
And everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that is
with
based upon fear and learned behavior. Those are the two.
Those are the principles of religion. I mean, technically, those are the bases of religion. When people get into a certain circumstance and you say, oh, well, the fire on the stove is 10 times as hot and so on and so forth. When you talk these type of quotes and stature, all of these are allegedly supposed to be teachings to keep you at bay or ground you. Yeah. But in the same circumstance, they also are a means of fear to keep you reading or keep you focused on that as your base for perspective.
And control, Mike. Yeah. And control.
Exactly.
Exactly. It depends on how you read into it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, those same principles are being, I mean, I'm not trying to go into any politics or nothing, but those same principles are being applied right now. I mean, if we look at the Amy Colby Barrett nomination and her being nominated to the SC, they use that because they work with a more extreme aspect of religion. They don't believe in abortions and so on and so forth. Me personally, I believe that everybody's right is their own. But under those same pretenses, you got folks who've been raised that this is absolutely wrong. No matter what you do, you should never take a life, so on and so forth. But you never know someone's walk. And to put that type of obligation on somebody who's sure they can't carry it, in some cases, they probably have an all type of mental instability themselves. And to put that type of situation there may take them over the edge. You know,
I think that you gave a perfect rundown of how that looks from a political viewpoint. You know, this sister right here, she was going to go in, you know, raw with how it looks from the family who's religious. You know, go ahead, build on that.
Well, you know, Mike always taking the floor.
My apologies.
You own it tonight, Mike, baby.
You always taking the floor, but
Mike Jackson in the house.
You know, religion also make you push out. Like, religion is supposed to be a way of life, you know, and they do take it to extreme because it was used as a form of control. Just because that person has that sexual preference, that don't make them non-human. You have people that look at people that are gay, LGBT, transgender, all of this, like they're not human, like they're aliens or somebody, like they, you know, like they don't belong to the world. And then they kick them out, but they forget that's still your blood, that's still your child. You know, I had a big thing against gay people, but then I'm like, I watched a couple of comedians on Netflix. You only got those gay comedians on Netflix, and they give you a different perspective. Those are people. Those are your blood.
They are.
They live religion. No, you ain't supposed
are.
to be this, but in religion is also say, hey, you can forgive this as well. So
yeah, and I was.
Can I just share one point about that when y'all ready?
Religious. I didn't want to make this no religious, you know, thing. I want to stay on topic, but a lot of times people who actually take a real messed up and elitist view of religion are the ones who really ain't that studied. Because when you actually get into these religions, you come back. Of course, you have trials, tribulations, and you know the things you go through. But when you get a full understanding of these religions, they're really teaching you how to just be one with each other.
Right. And
without no blaming, without no, you know,
acceptance.
All that, accepting everybody for who they are, you know. And you know, I think that when you get back to the family structure and kids being forced out, that's most definitely one of the reasons why parents force their children out, because of their sexual preferences. But I've seen, especially working in the school system, I've seen families actually kind of accept that in their child and support them to the fullest. Yeah. And those are the students who exceed the most. Mm-hmm. Because they have that, because they don't go through life. They got that love and support. How I feel about myself, right. Am I fucking up? And if I'm fucking myself up, am I messing somebody else's life up?
That abandonment cycle, yeah.
Versus, no, I am who I am. And when I accept people as who they are, they accept me as who I am. That's where that synergy goes in. There is common ground with everybody. You know?
Yeah. But also, it also goes back to what we said
about, and they fuck everything up. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
I think, like I said before, though, it also, like when you got that type of Christian strong, I'm not saying that that's ideal, but I'm just saying a lot of folks have been raised under the pretenses of early teachings of Christianity. And we all know folks that made readily statements, whether they thought it was wrong or right. You know, God made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, and all these other things, which is not my particular, but I don't care who does what. I have cousins who are gay or bisexual, whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? I don't treat them any different. More or less, I feel to a certain degree that this, I feel like this era has pushed homosexuality beyond reproach to me, but it's nothing, I got nothing against it. It's just, ideally, we come from the age group where they weren't doing nothing but kissing on TV. You couldn't do
you know
what I mean?
You know what though, bro? You know what though, bro? See what that means? What that actually means then, exactly. That means a person never had these thoughts until they saw it on TV. Right. And that's a lie.
That's a lie because
that's a lie.
That's not what I'm trying to say, though. That's not what I'm trying to say. It was a further thought.
They didn't have TVs back then either.
Solomon and Gomorrah.
What's happening is, I'm telling you what's happening is that when we see more and more expressions of homosexuality in media, whether it's print, video, or radio, or anything, you know, what you're seeing is a society that's more acceptance of it. And so people are more comfortable with coming out and telling these stories or giving these perspectives on that situation. But the media is not making homosexualities.
I never said they was making it. I'm not saying they were making it.
That's not what's happening.
What I feel is this. This is my perspective. This is my perspective. I feel that the aggressive black male in society, from a publicized perspective, was not ideal. We are often illustrated as what do you call it? We come off aggressive and so on. You know what I mean? All of these different perspectives of bad narratives placed on us. But at the same time, it feels like to me when the emasculation of the black man to a certain degree was more invited than us just being our real self to a certain degree. Me, that's my perspective. Y'all get where I'm going.
Mike,
I just feel.
I want to follow up with that, because one of the things I noticed in corporate America is that if you are a black man with an opinion, If you're confident, even in the least bit, honey, they don't want you.
You're shy.
Goodbye.
Yeah,
Who did he
that's
think
what I'm
he
talking
is?
about.
He's not qualified. But let you have some feminine ways.
Yeah.
Let you be, you know.
You're not a threat anymore.
That's not a threat. That's not a threat.
That goes back
Exactly my point. Exactly my point.
I had I've been working at this job for 17 years. I'm sorry, y'all.
No,
17 years.
Go ahead.
2 black men that have worked at this company that whole time. None of them are there now. And then we had one that came on who was at a lower level position. He's gone. COVID got his ass fired. Come on now. It's black. I've been on the interview for black men applying for jobs, honey. Qualified.
Yeah. So that narrative still doesn't produce a homosexual. However, what it does make people feel like is, you know, then the goal isn't to create homosexuals. The goal is, through this lane right here of homosexuality, black men learn your place in society. So when we put movies, so listen, because this is to your point. So when we make movies and make you put a dress on, when we make TV shows and we make you kiss another man, we ain't trying to make you homosexual, but we're telling you we want you to be as subservient and less as a man as these characters are. That I do agree with.
Exactly. But I just want to make for record while we on live, I love everybody. I got friends who are homosexual, bisexual.
Nice.
And
Wait,
let him finish that.
I make stupid statements like anybody else who doesn't fully understand. It's not that I'm incapable. Sometimes I'm an ass. And with that being said, I make the wrong gestures or make the wrong comments sometimes about certain things that don't particularly apply to myself.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I'm speaking.
That's what this is
no,
for,
no, you
Mike.
don't. Hey, don't.
No.
Real
I'm just speaking. Right. I mean, right. But I'm saying, no. This isn't about us.
America, right? We don't want to face and talk about the real shit. And this is
right. No, it's just it's for me. It's not that. It's just I feel like I know it's friends on here now that I know that are probably homosexual, and I definitely always want them to know that I have nothing but the utmost respect for their choice of life. You know what I mean? That's essentially what I was trying to get to.
Not how you feel. You can't diminish yourself about how you feel.
No.
It's just real. If everybody being real and they who they are and you who you are, being humble as well is just being honest. You know what I'm saying? So they can't take it offensive because that's how you feel. You can have those friends still. You can still have those friends and they can still be your friend, but they have to value your opinion and you can value their opinion. You don't have you know, I understand you know that, but hey, you still have feelings. You're still human.
Yeah.
Chris is checking out, y'all. Adios to Chris.
I gotta go, y'all.
Thank you,
Bye,
Chris. Again.
All right, Chris, bro.
For those of y'all who are chiming in, we're talking about homelessness. We're talking about being kicked out at 18. Tammy, you got to move over now. But we led into another direction a little bit with the homosexuality.
We did. I'm sorry about that.
The majority of homeless people, youth in particular, come from the LGBT community. So we kind of delved into that a little bit. Now we're back. So Mike,
yes, I'm listening.
You have been a single father, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted you to be on the show for a good portion of your life. And I think it's important to showcase dads that are doing just as much as the moms are too. And I guess first of all, can you see yourself scooping your kid out the house at a certain age?
No, because I want to make sure that my kid has every essential characteristic and know-how to perform to be able to be self-sufficient truly. And when I'm confident in that, and they feel that they resonate the same, then you know, hey, you know, the door is always open. You know what I mean? I left my mom's house at 18 to go serve. I went to the military during 9/11, came back in 02. I didn't have nothing. I had a little money, but you know, I didn't. You know, it wasn't nothing spectacular. And you know, she had a 6-bedroom house. So I'm like, well, you know, she like, well, you know, you ain't never got no problem with coming back home. But it's just, I've always had that same perspective for my kids. You know what I mean? It's so hard out here because families are not united. You know what I mean? It's a lot of lost kids out here. You know what I mean? And my heart go out because where I'm at right now, I see parents homeless carrying 3-4 kids, and like literally, it'll make you cry. You know what I mean? I just stopped and bought people lunch just on the strength because I know my heart go out to them. I can't do nothing but provide you a meal. I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I wish I could help more, but it's hard out here for everybody. You know what I mean? And
that's a good ass point, Mike, because I think even now, even more so now, especially with the pandemic, it makes sense. Like the job, the market, the economy is not at its best. So that support is even more essential now than ever before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, if we all carry somewhat of that perspective, knowing the state of where we are, you know, knowing that the struggle is real for everybody, if we truly understood the strength in numbers and respected and valued each other, not only our kids, but it's everybody unifying to find some type of solitude, we can probably get something better than what they trying to do with this politics thing. You know what I mean? Seriously, we ain't represented ourselves as a union in a long time since we got off them boats, I feel. No disrespect, but, you know, the solidarity in our community.
Some of us was already here, Michael.
I'm sorry?
Some of us didn't come on a boat.
I mean, yeah, you know, but I'm just saying, essentially, what I'm saying is
I get you.
The solidarity in our community lacks thoroughly. And I don't know, maybe this idea is because a lot of us have never had, you know, the idea of getting the possibility of getting something to stand alone on your 2 feet validates a lot of people, you know what I mean? And under those same circumstances, you want to teach your kid that very same independence, but sometimes kids don't carry the same thrive as you know what I mean? Every kid don't carry that same will to want to get out here and see the bag like you see it, you know what I mean? They happy with mama buying some J's, a cell phone, or maybe she bought me a car, or blah, 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 you know what I mean? But ultimately, you gotta, kids, we all, eventually all of us gotta grow up. You know, it's just a matter of instilling the right things to help them get over the hump, so to speak.
Yeah, I like that. I agree, 100%.
But my son is 16, and if he ever needed me, I'll break my back for him, whether a house, whatever, not an issue. Yeah. My daughter the same, you know. She ain't in no situation where she need anyway. OG got her, so that's what's up, you know what I mean? But I would never want to even be able to validate a reason why. Even my daughter got pregnant, she in the crib, I don't care. I mean, no disrespect to nobody, it's just, we won. Yeah. When I look at my DNA, I don't see we won. We can be in this crib together. Yeah. You know, you're going to take out some garbage and wash some dishes, but hey, It is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know,
I think it has to do, I think, and we're going to get out of here shortly. One of the things that we miss as a community is that whole staying at home and creating generational wealth.
Or
it can be done.
The preparation, like
other nationalities do it all the time.
I think we lack being proactive in kids' lives and preparing them for the real world. You know, I know you get caught up in having them do their schoolwork and things of that nature, but it is also important as a parent to be proactive and show them different things that they're going to have to go through when they turn 18, when you grown, when you're 16, you go rob a bank, you an adult, you know, things of that nature. It's a lot of things that you have to prepare your child for. Hey, girl, you going Walmart, you stealing, they're going to prosecute you to the fullest. They don't care if it's a lip gloss. You're not going to be able to get a job, 16, 17, you know. So it's more being proactive and preparing them for life for real.
I just read an article about a guy doing 30 years for stealing out of a store. Really, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, but certain states with different statutes, they got zero tolerance for certain crimes. Out here where I live at now, they doing felony 6s for fights.
You can't even drink and drive in Phoenix, boo. That's a felony right away.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin, do it 20 times.
Not here.
For real.
They don't play no games
down here.
It's not a game.
20, girl. That's
20. 20 times before
21.
they'll lock you
Can
down,
we
lay
get
you
21?
down.
22, 21.
Yeah.
Don't let you be
Also,
living
I
up
read-
north somewhere.
Yeah, I read an article over there
You
too.
kill
about
somebody
about
up
six
north and
drunk
get away
driving.
with it.
If you drinking and driving.
Eric's, and then it was,
Yeah,
and then it was.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, you know what? We're gonna get out of here, y'all. Bo, shout out to Bo again. This is an important topic for him. I know
Shout out,
how
Bo.
relevant it is in today's society, and I was hoping that I could do it a little bit of justice, Bo. So let me know, Bo, if I did. I know he'll hit me up. ZZ, I hope you feel better. Get better, lady. We'll see you next week soon. And just want to give y'all a shout out. And then also shout out to our sponsors. Check us out at gspotme.com. We embrace life, lessons, love, and sexuality, honey. So check us out. You can also check out some of our live videos at the website as well. So we'll see y'all next Tuesday. Thanks, Mike.
All love, G.
Phoenix, all the way from Milwaukee. Love ya.
Love you too, ma. Y'all take it easy.
All right, see you, Mike.
Adjustable frames, but I need a box spring.